I'm Michael Weber, an evolutionary ecologist from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Welcome to Creatures of the Night. Today, we're going to track down some elusive nighttime creatures who wander the deserts of the American Southwest. When you think of a desert, you probably don't think of amphibians, because amphibians need water during different stages of their life cycles. But we have amphibians right here in southern Nevada. I tagged along one night as UNLV's Dr. Jeff Yeager and Rebecca Rivera and Heidi McMaster from the Bureau of Reclamation went in search of desert frogs. Rebecca?
Hello.
Jeff?
Hi.
Heidi?
Hi.
Thanks for letting me come out. So where are we?
We are at the Lower Portal Road, which is an access road to Hoover Dam.
So Jeff, what kind of amphibians can we find here?
Well, we've reintroduced the relic leopard frog to the site. It's a rare species of frog that has populations further downstream. And we are likely to see the red-spotted toad as well.
Okay, let's go frogging.
Super.
Yay!
So we just caught a relic leopard frog over here. This guy was out foraging a little ways from water. Pretty attractive little guy.
So how do frogs survive in the desert?
Well, they're not really well adapted to the desert. Obviously, this animal lives here in the spring. There's quite a bit of water around, and while it is adapted to high heat, this is a very hot locality. It's in the lower Colorado River drainage basin. This slope gets quite hot in the summertime. Probably 120 is not uncommon, but it also gets cold here. And during the wintertime, they're not as active. This is a thermal spring, so the water's quite warm to begin with. Bufo punctatus, the red-spotted toad. It's a beautiful female. Look at her. Gorgeous. I love their little pointy noses.
How do you know it's a red-spotted toad?
Just in the general characteristic, it's got this round parotid. It's got the pointy little nose. It's a beautiful animal, and they usually have lots of red spots. These are not quite showing right now. They're outside their breeding season for the most part.
So what are some common misconceptions about toads?
You catch warts from them, and you don't catch warts from them. They do produce poison. So these are poison glands here. They also produce poison from their skin. It's a protective measure, keeps them from being eaten by a lot of things.
How is it different than the relic leopard frog?
Well, let's compare it. Hey Heidi, can you bring that frog over? So now putting these side by side, you can see the frog has much smoother skin than the toads. Toads tend to have these warts or bumps all over them. You can see the dorsolateral stripe on this animal right here, that line that runs down the side of the body. They're physically quite different in the sense of their locomotion. Frogs tend to leap more. They tend to leap after their prey, or they tend to leap away from predators. Toads will do a little bit of the same, but they tend to hop. They don't have quite the leg muscles that the frog has. These tend to be more aquatic. Toads will get further away from water and spend more time on dry land than do frogs, but both of them will come back to water to breed. They both lay eggs in the water. Their larval forms in the water are both tadpoles, and they metamorphose and turn into small frogs.
So why are amphibians like frogs and toads important in ecosystems?
Well, they're part of a complex network of organisms that are living in this particular area. And as such, these guys are little predators. They eat insects, and they probably eat quite large numbers of insects. And in turn, they're eaten by other organisms. For example, we've talked about rattlesnakes in here. I don't know how often rattlesnakes eat frogs, but they certainly are hanging around sites where frogs are at, and I wouldn't doubt that they would take one if they have the opportunity. So one of the things we're trying to do is conserve these species for the long term.
Heidi, Rebecca, Jeff, thanks for the adventure. I had a lot of fun.
Hey, it was great taking you out. This was really a cool time.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Joining me now is Rebecca Rivera, an amphibian biologist here at UNLV. So Rebecca, as Dr. Yeager mentioned, the relic leopard frog is strongly tied to sources of water like desert springs, so I imagine that they're affected by things like drought. So what are some other threats to the relic leopard frog populations?
Well, the relic leopard frog is a rare species and it has experienced a dramatic decline in population size, leaving only a few frogs at few sites. Some of the threats include introduced competitors and predators such as bullfrogs and crayfish. These animals are originally from the southern region of the United States and were brought in over here to Nevada by early settlers. You mentioned water. There's the threats that cause habitat loss, such as water diversions and groundwater development. Water is a necessity here to the people in the desert. And also recently, we've detected an exotic fungus in our southern Nevada region and has been linked to numerous population declines and extinctions of amphibians. Fortunately, there is a voluntary relic leopard frog conservation team consisting of personnel from local, state, and federal agencies that help mitigate these threats and therefore conserve the species.
Cool. Thanks, Rebecca.
No problem.
Up next, we get up close and personal with bats. Bats are flying nocturnal animals that leave their roosts at sunset to forage for prey. Bats hunt at night using echolocation, a type of sonar, to navigate around objects. Echolocation gives the bats the ability to zero in on prey, like insects, in almost complete darkness. I followed biologists Jeffrey Hill and Alan Calvert for a night of mist netting. Take a look. Hi, Alan.
Hi.
Jeff.
Hi.
Thanks for letting me tag along tonight. So, how do we catch bats?
Well, at night bats forage in these riparian corridors, and we're going to set up mist nets. And mist nets are really fine, and so hopefully they won't pick it up with their echolocation, and we'll catch them in the nets.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, sounds good. Because we can't hear the echolocation calls of the bats, this bat detector has a microphone set up to be able to hear the high frequency calls of the bats, and then it's saving all the calls that I can view them later and then officially process them and identify them to species. But most of them you get a pretty good idea of what are out there just by acoustically viewing them with a bat detector.
Do you think we caught bats?
I think we might have.
Let's go check. So what kind of bat is it?
So this is a Myotis humanensis, or the Yuma myotis. And you can tell because he's got really big feet here.
So what is a bat? I know a lot of people think that they might be rodents.
They actually aren't rodents. They're more closely related to primates. Bats are the only flying mammal. There are a lot of mammals that glide, but bats are the only ones that can truly fly.
Alan, Jeff, thanks for taking me bat catching. It was fun.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for coming out.
Joining me now is Jeff Hill, a biologist with the Lower Colorado River Multi-Species Conservation Program. So Jeff, that night we were lucky enough to see a Yuma myotis, but how many bat species are there in the Southwest?
Well, we have 44 species in the United States, and about 20 of those occur in the Southwest. We have some really fascinating species in the desert here in the Southwest. Among those, we have Mexican free-tailed bats, which congregate in colonies of over 1 million, and you can actually see them flying out of caves like Bracken Cave. It looks like a big river of bats coming out. They primarily feed on insects, but we also have species that feed on nectar, and you can see them actually, well, you can't see them because it's the night, but they pollinate several species of cactus in the Sonoran Desert. And then we have my personal favorite, the California leaf-nosed bat, the one I study. It's the only member of its neotropical family to reach the United States. So we have a lot of cool bats out here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. So far, we've seen nocturnal animals that hop and fly. Now get ready for creatures that slither. Snakes are limbless reptiles that are one of the most iconic Southwest desert animals. During the hot summer months, snakes are active only at night when they hunt for prey like lizards and rodents. Snakes also use the cover of darkness to search for mates during the breeding season. I followed biologist Aaron Ambos to find out more about these mysterious creatures. Take a look. Hey, Aaron.
Hey.
Thanks for letting me tag along tonight.
Sure.
So, what are we doing here?
Well, we're out here tonight. We're going to look for snakes. In this area, in this desert environment, snakes are often active at night. They're considered nocturnal. So once the sun goes down, the snakes will come out to feed and look for mates and that sort of thing.
Awesome, I'm excited, let's do it. So, do we catch the snakes with our hands or?
A lot of times we'll use what are called snake tongs, and you can actually use these to pick the snakes up. So hopefully we can find some rattlesnakes tonight, and I'll show you how these work.
I'm excited, let's catch some snakes.
All right, well, let me give you your snake hook back, and let's go out and see if we can find some snakes. Okay, so Mike, we have a snake here. It looks like it's a young southwestern speckled rattlesnake, actually. So these are,
How can you tell?
based on the markings, they have fairly distinctive markings. Also based on the habitat we're in. So we know they occur in this area. They like this kind of habitat. He thinks we're some big animal that's going to try to eat him. So he's just kind of trying to hide up in this bush. Probably what he was doing before we found him. He was just out looking to find food. These guys will eat small rodents and lizards. So with the tongue flicking, they can actually taste the presence of prey, and it allows them to track maybe a mouse or something and find out where it's hiding. Rattlesnakes are also interesting in that they have heat sensing pits, and they can use these pits to basically see the heat produced by their prey. Rattlesnakes as a group are the only snakes that actually have rattles, and rattles are solely a defensive mechanism. If they feel threatened, they'll rattle just to let everything know in the area that they're there and they don't want to be stepped on.
So what are some common misconceptions about snakes? I mean, this one seems pretty cute and nice.
You know, a lot of people think they're slimy and cold and aggressive and are just out to bite you, and none of that's true. They're actually, they have very smooth, dry scales. They're ectotherms, which means they don't regulate their own body temperature like mammals do. They're relying upon behaviors in their environment to regulate their body temperature. Snakes also aren't aggressive. You know, this guy is basically scared. He thinks we're going to try to eat him, so that's why he's defensive like that. And if we got closer, he would try to bite. So he's not going to go out of his way to try to bite me. He'd much rather get away, and that's what he's been trying to do the whole time, get away from us.
Joining me now is Aaron Ambos from the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Welcome, Aaron. So what do you have for us today?
Well, what I brought in today is California king snake. If you remember when we were in the field, we caught a couple rattlesnakes, which are venomous, and I wanted to show you a non-venomous snake that we have here in Southern Nevada. These guys are found throughout the Mojave Desert, but also into the Sonoran Desert and over in Northern California, Oregon, Utah, Colorado. These guys, they're constrictors, so they kill their prey by wrapping around, constricting it, and then eating the prey once it's dead. These guys get about 4 feet long, and they feed on mammals, birds, reptiles, including rattlesnakes. So this is one of the predators of rattlesnakes. So this guy here could eat a rattlesnake of approximately his same size.
That's cute. Thanks, Aaron.
Oh, my pleasure.
Finally, from animals with no legs to creatures with 8 legs. That's right, it's time to talk about scorpions. Scorpions evolved nearly 450 million years ago from giant water scorpions called Eurypterids. Scorpions are called living fossils because they appear very similar to their ancient ancestors. But today's scorpions are terrestrial and have much smaller bodies. There are approximately 2,000 species of scorpion worldwide, and new ones are being discovered at an amazing rate. Scorpions are classified as arachnids and are closely related to spiders. Like our other creatures of the night, scorpions are nocturnal and emerge from their burrows or crevices at night to hunt for prey like insects or other invertebrates. Scorpions also hunt for mates during the evening. After mating, female scorpions give birth to a large number of offspring. The female cares for her young by carrying the babies on her back for up to 2 weeks. Carrying babies is hard work, and females have difficulty catching prey. But once the babies leave their mother, she's able to begin successfully foraging once again. Another cool fact about scorpions is that they have proteins in their exoskeletons that cause them to glow under ultraviolet light. We have quite a few scorpion species in the desert Southwest. However, only the Arizona bark scorpion has extremely potent venom. Arizona bark scorpions are found on rocky hillsides and riparian habitats. As their name implies, they are particularly abundant in Arizona. However, they can also be found in parts of Southern California, Baja California, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, and parts of northern Mexico. Bark scorpions are easily identified by their flat, yellow-tan bodies and elongated tail and pinchers. Bark scorpions get their name from their habit of hiding under the bark of fallen vegetation. These creatures are quite agile and can adhere upside down or vertically on surfaces. Bark scorpions are well adapted to the desert heat and prefer temperatures that exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Their hard, waxy exoskeletons reduce the amount of water lost from their bodies when temperatures are high. Scorpions are an important part of ecosystems because, as predators, they help control insect populations. They're also an important food source for other creatures like lizards, rodents, and birds. So today, we saw a few nocturnal desert animals. We saw the rare relic leopard frog, the red-spotted toad, and the Yuma myotis bat. We also learned about 2 different snake species that forage and mate during the hot summer nights, and took a close look at Arizona bark scorpions. These are the creatures of the night in the American Southwest. We hope you enjoyed this investigation of those who fly, slither, and hop in the desert. I'm Michael Weber. Good night.